You're listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky Duraeus. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky Duraeus right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to review Friday Night SmackDown from January 5th, 2024. Of course, it is the New Year's Revolution edition of SmackDown, and of course, right now we are on the road to the Royal Rumble, which kicks off the road to WrestleMania 40, and we now know who Roman Reigns will be facing at the Royal Rumble, and it was all of the three members of the main event, which was the triple threat match, that being Randy Orton taking on AJ Styles, taking on LA Knight. The match didn't even end. The match just basically abruptly ended. The bell didn't even ring, with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline attacking all three men one by one, which signifies that we are going to be getting a fatal four-way match at the Royal Rumble. And even though I think it's a great idea that we're getting a fatal four-way match with Roman, LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton, it has sparked a lot of concern within the wrestling community regarding the title reign of Roman Reigns. Of course, the addition of The Rock, because we all know The Rock made his return to WWE this past Monday night on Raw. And, of course, he called out Roman Reigns. And once he calls out Roman Reigns, we all know we're going to be getting the Rock versus Roman match either at WrestleMania or at the Elimination Chamber. I am very vocal. I was very vocal about where that match should be taking place. That match should be taking place in Perth, Australia at the Elimination Chamber, because at this point, WWE's business is so hot they can literally put that match anywhere. It will still garner the exact same media attention that it would at any WrestleMania. So that match should happen at the Elimination Chamber. Everybody is happy. Cody gets his story finished, all that stuff. But we're going to be talking about all that and much more right here on the SmackDown review from January 5th, 2024. Of course, it is the New Year's Revolution edition of SmackDown. I love the fact that they called the show New Year's Revolution. They called the Raw show Day 1. NXT this past Tuesday, they called it New Year's Evil. And of course, for SmackDown, they called it New Year's Revolution. We had the finals of the U.S. title contenders tournament, as we have Kevin Owens taking on Santos Escobar in the finals. The winner will be facing Logan Paul for the United States Championship at the Royal Rumble, which is official. Kevin Owens beat Santos Escobar, and he will face Logan Paul at the pay-per-view, which I'm excited about. Logan Paul, as you guys all know, is the current U.S. champion, and Logan Paul, throughout the short amount of time he's been in WWE, has shown a great deal of impression in regards to his, in-ring skills. So I think he's going to deliver a great match against Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. We also had a Women's World Championship match. Oh, not a Women's World Championship match, a WWE Women's Championship match, as Iyo Sky defends her title against Michin Mia Yim. We also had debuts, yes, or returns and debuts. Of course, Tyler Bate made his main roster debut tonight on SmackDown, teaming up with Butch against Pretty Deadly. As well as we had the return of AOP, the Authors of Pain, along with, of course, their manager, Paul Ellering. If you guys do not remember, he was the manager for the Authors of Pain back in the Black and Gold days of NXT. And, of course, they're paired with Karrion Kross and Scarlett, which is such a great pairing. And I have a lot of hope for that group further on down the line, and they have their sights set on Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. So we're going to be talking about all this and much more right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast on the SmackDown review. Once again, it is January 5th, 2024. Before we get into all this craziness regarding Friday Night SmackDown, please make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also follow me on social media on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. If you guys missed the recent edition of WrestleHavoc Daily, it is up on the channel. I talk about where potentially the Rock versus Roman match could happen. Some people are speculating it could either be at the Elimination Chamber, or some are speculating it could possibly be at WrestleMania, but all eyes are pointing to the Elimination Chamber. In a future video that I want to put out, I'm going to be talking about the severity and the importance of the Rock and Roman match and why it needs to happen at the Elimination Chamber, because ever since Rock returned this past Monday night on Raw, it has caused a lot of speculation as to where the match is going to be taking place, and I've seen a lot of crazy takes, a lot of horrifying takes, to say the least. I would hear some people say that match should be a triple threat match. The Rock versus Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. I know, atrocious takes I've seen on social media. People need to understand that if Rock and Roman happens at WrestleMania, you clearly shunned Roman by the wayside. Not Roman. You clearly shunned Cody Rhodes by the wayside. And if you shun your top babyface by the wayside, clearly you're doing something wrong. But I have full faith in Triple H and the current regime in WWE to really get things right, because at the end of the day, this is not Vince McMahon running things. If this were Vince McMahon running things, forget about it. Cody Rhodes would never finish his story, and we would have easily have gotten Rock versus Roman as the Mania Night 2 main event. But let's go on with this SmackDown review. Let's kick off the show. The show kicks off with an SUV pulling up backstage, and it's none other than Roman Reigns, the Undisputed Champion, and his wise man, Paul Heyman. Of course, Kayla Braxton comes in and asks Roman about The Rock's comments this past Monday night on Raw, in which Roman Reigns laughs at the question that he was asked. Roman Reigns does not give a single damn whatsoever. And then they leave. You know why? Because they can. After that, we get our opening match. We got Kevin Owens taking on Santos Escobar in the finals of the United States Championship Contenders Tournament. The winner of this match will be facing Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble Premium Live event for the United States Championship. And Logan Paul made an appearance on this show, and he is on commentary. Overall thoughts on this opening match. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. This was great. Kevin Owens never disappoints, of course. Santos Escobar is coming off of turning heel and basically splitting himself away from the LWO, and also teaming up with both Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. Not Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. Those were his former members way before the LWO as part of Legado del Fantasma, but now he has a new tag team that is by his side, and that is Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, which I think is such a great pairing, and it keeps Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro really hanging around the LWO. But Logan Paul is on commentary, of course. The match starts. Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro immediately attack Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza out of nowhere. Of course, this feud has been boiling for a couple of weeks now. Moving on to the match, Kevin Owens ends up hitting a super kick, and then he goes for the cannonball. KO goes to the top, and then he ends up hitting the frog splash, and then we get a cover and a kick out by Santos Escobar. Once we go to commercial break and we're back from break, Kevin Owens goes for a senton on Santos Escobar. KO goes to the top, and then Santos comes in for the attack. Santos is in control. He targets the right hand of Kevin Owens, sending it to the ring post. Once we're back from commercial break, Santos continues to work on the right hand of Kevin Owens. After that, Santos ends up going for a tilt-a-world backbreaker. After that, Santos continues to be in control. We get a running knee into the corner by Santos, and he follows up with a running Hurricane Rana. After that, we get a tope by Santos Escobar on Kevin Owens on the outside. Santos goes to the top, but then Kevin Owens ends up going to the middle rope, but then Santos hits a headbutt. After that, Santos gets caught by KO. KO ends up hitting a DDT, and then he goes to the top rope. Santos comes back, but then KO goes off the top and hits a superplex, or his modified superplex. Once we're back from commercial break, both men are on the top rope. Both men continue to fight off one another. Santos gets taken to the apron, but then we get a kick by Kevin Owens. Santos then gets taken to the outside, but then Kevin Owens goes for a senton off the apron on Santos, or landing on Santos, I should say. Kevin Owens ends up going for a swanton off the top, but then Santos gets the knees up. Santos then goes for the double knees into the corner, but then he hits a Hurricane Rana on Kevin Owens off the top. After that, he goes to the top. He ends up hitting a frog splash, and then we get a cover and another near fall. We get a boot by Santos Escobar, and then he takes Kevin Owens to the top rope. Santos then gets pushed off the top rope, but then Santos comes back and hits an enziguri, and then Santos goes back to the top, but then Kevin Owens picks up Santos. He ends up hitting a rolling senton. After the rolling senton, of course, Santos tries to come back with the enziguri. Santos goes back to the top. It's the rolling senton. We get a cover by Kevin Owens and a near fall. Kevin Owens then tries to go for the stunner, but then Santos counters. We get a pump-up powerbomb by Kevin Owens, countered in the Hurricane Rana, but then Santos comes back, and then he gets hit with the pump-up powerbomb. And then Kevin Owens ends up hitting the stunner, and then we get a cover, and Kevin Owens wins the match and will face Logan Paul for the United States Championship at the Royal Rumble. Overall, the last few moments of the match, I really, really, really enjoyed. I loved the back and forth. This match overall was great. Santos Escobar shined in this match like he always does. WWE is clearly protecting Santos Escobar because the heel work that Santos Escobar has been doing throughout the past couple of months has been absolutely phenomenal. Not only that, we all kind of knew that Santos Escobar was such a good heel. We just haven't really seen it on the main roster. But now that we have seen it on the main roster, definitely WWE is protecting him a lot. But I think it was obvious that Kevin Owens was going to get the win over Santos Escobar and face Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble, because it wouldn't make sense if we have a heel versus a heel for the United States Championship at the Royal Rumble. That just wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. But Kevin Owens is definitely the right guy to face Logan Paul for the U.S. title. I think the build for this match is going to be great. I don't want to compare it to the build for the Ricochet and Logan Paul match. I mean, that was something special in my opinion, leading up to their match at SummerSlam. But I think the promo battles and back and forth, especially when it comes to Kevin Owens, because we all know Kevin Owens is a great entertainer. You know, people always talk about how great his in-ring skills are, but people need to understand how great of an entertainer Kevin Owens is. I think we're going to be seeing some great entertainment when it comes to the build between Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. Not only that, we're going to get a great match out of it at the Royal Rumble. Do I see Logan Paul dropping the U.S. title at the Royal Rumble to Kevin Owens? I actually do not see that being the case, considering the fact that, Logan Paul is such a big star. Yeah, it sucks that he's holding the U.S. title hostage, but I do see him holding the U.S. title all the way until WrestleMania, probably for a guy like LA Knight to, get the win and beat him for the U.S. title, because clearly he's not going to go. A guy like LA Knight, even though how hot LA Knight is right now, he's not going to go after a World Heavyweight title or Undisputed title. Clearly, those spots are reserved for guys like CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. You guys get my drift. But clearly, Logan Paul is going to hold on to that U.S. title all the way until WrestleMania of this year. Throughout the majority of the SmackDown show, we had video packages showcasing, of course, each man that is participating in the main event, that being the triple threat match, to determine the number one contender for Roman Reigns' Undisputed Championship at the Royal Rumble show. And this first video package, we had the video package showcasing Randy Orton and his road to recovery, and, of course, him returning this past November at Survivor Series. Meanwhile, actually, I completely forgot about this. After the match with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul, I completely forgot about this because I got caught off guard. What happens is Logan Paul gets the mic, he congratulates Kevin Owens, and he gets in the face. He says he gets to face the greatest United States champion in history. He hasn't broken a sweat, and he hasn't lost the title in 62 days. Y'all thought a Canadian could ever win and beat him for the United States Championship? You beating me for the U.S. title is like the some NHL team winning the Stanley Cup, which I could not even pronounce and spell, so my apologies. I do not follow sports, nor do I follow NHL, so my apologies. It's never going to happen. Y'all know why? Because I am Logan Paul, and then what happens is Kevin Owens hits him with a right hand, his injured right hand, in which Santos Escobar was basically working on throughout the entire time, or for shits and giggles, you can just call it one lucky shot. Yeah, Logan Paul got his receipt. Or I should say Kevin Owens got his receipt. You never know. Logan Paul is backstage after he got hit with the right hand by Kevin Owens. He says he'll, it's official. He will be facing Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. And then Grayson Waller and Austin Theory ask if he's all right. And then Cameron Grimes comes in and laughs. And then, of course, both Grayson Waller and Austin Theory go into the locker room of Logan Paul. Could there be something brewing between, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul? We're going to have to wait and see. But clearly, they're doing nothing with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, especially Austin Theory. So maybe they could possibly pair them with Logan Paul. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But it's I don't know. I could care less. All I'm excited about is the match that he's gonna have with Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. Moving on, we got a Bobby Lashley segment. He welcomes all of us to New Year's Revolution, and he's gonna get personal. 2023 was probably his toughest year in WWE because he didn't really put in the work. Not because he didn't put in the work, but the highlight of 2023 was really linking up with the Street Profits. So their resolution is simple. They will fight and take everything that they deserve in 2024. Montez Ford gets the mic, and of course, they will hop on the trend. They know that they will hop on the trend, but what they want to do is that they want to take advantage when it comes to championship gold. They've been saying that for like almost every week at this point. Dawkins and says that it's been a while since they had the tag team titles, and they end up targeting the Judgment Day. Of course, the current tag team champions are Damian Priest, a.k.a. Senor Money in the Bank, and Finn Balor. Bobby Lashley says 2024, his goal is to get back to being the Almighty, and he will do that by declaring himself for the 2024 Royal Rumble match. And then we get a video package of Karrion Kross on the screen. And, of course, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago, we saw a video package teasing the Authors of Pain. But then what happens is once we see Karrion Kross, on the screen, Karrion Kross comes out, and then all of a sudden, Paul Ellering. Yes, Paul Ellering comes out right next to Karrion Kross. Meanwhile, you had the Authors of Pain. AOP attacks them from behind. They end up hitting the Super Collider, and then Kross picks up Lashley, and then they plant him down to the mat. And from what it looks like, Karrion Kross now has a new faction, along with the Authors of Pain. Overall thoughts on this segment. I thought this was a great segment, a great way to reintroduce the audience that probably forgot about the Authors of Pain, to introduce them once again, a great reintroduction to the Authors of Pain. And honestly, hopefully this is a great new direction for Karrion Kross, because if you think about it, ever since Karrion Kross made his return to the company 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago, or almost a year to the day, let's be real here, they haven't really done anything with Karrion Kross. They kind of fumbled Karrion Kross, to say the least, because if you see what he was doing in NXT when he was the NXT champion, he was completely dominant. He was dominant on all levels. He was protected so well. And then now, once he got to the main roster and lost to Jeff Hardy in a couple of minutes, it was all over for him. He came back, and they didn't really do anything with Karrion Kross. There was really a lack of direction when it came to Karrion Kross, and hopefully now with him pairing himself with the Authors of Pain, or the Authors of Pain pairing up with Karrion Kross, hopefully there's a new sense of direction when it comes to Karrion Kross and where they want to go. With the addition of Paul Ellering, of course, their original manager back in NXT, that is great stuff too, because he can really sell you on anything. Not only that, with the Authors of Pain being involved now, it only boosts the strength of the tag team division. So it's great to see the Authors of Pain. They've been teasing this for a while, and I'm glad that they made their debut on the SmackDown show, and the way that they debuted was absolutely phenomenal. Moving on, we got Iyo Sky defending her WWE Women's Championship. My bad. I completely forgot to turn off my intro. We got Iyo Sky taking on Michin for the WWE Women's Championship. Overall thoughts on the match. It was a pretty good match. Obviously, there was no chance in hell, no pun intended, that Iyo Sky was going to lose the women's title, especially to someone like Michin. I mean, all she has been doing ever since she came back to the company was just being paired with the OC, and that is it. Nonetheless, though, it was a pretty good match. Michin did get offense in the match, which I like seeing. Usually I was afraid, oh my God, they're probably just going to have Michin have 5 minutes against Iyo Sky, but they didn't really do that. I don't know. I'm getting that Vince McMahon trauma, to say the least. But Michin did get offense in the match. Iyo Sky looked great, and the amount of offense that Michin got in the match was enough for her to lose strong in the match against Iyo Sky. But we get the head scissors by Iyo, followed by a backslide by Michin, and then we get a near fall. We get a roll up by Michin, and then we get a near fall, and then we get a drop kick. Then we get a series of kicks by Mia Yim, but then we get a roll through followed by a double stomp. Iyo then runs to the outside, but then that leads for Michin to go hit a tope. After that, once we're back from commercial break, Michin fights off Iyo Sky, but then Iyo hits a knee strike on Michin. We then get a gut wrench suplex by Michin, followed by a cannonball in the corner. We get a cover and a near fall, but then we get a right hand by Iyo Sky. We then get the double knees onto the chest of Iyo, but then we get a cover by Michin and a kick out. Michin then applies the half crab on Iyo Sky, but then we get a springboard by Iyo missed when she lands into a right hand. Both women are up on the apron, but then Iyo ends up hitting a German suplex on the apron. Iyo then goes for a shotgun dropkick on Michin, but then Iyo goes to the top. She ends up hitting a moonsault, but then Michin gets her knees up, and then Michin ends up going for a dragon suplex. We get a cover and a near fall, but then Michin tries to get Iyo up, but then Iyo counters. Michin rolls through, but then Iyo goes for the running knee, and then we get a cover and a near fall. After that, Iyo goes to the top, but then Michin takes her down, but then Michin goes to the top once again. Iyo hits a right hand. Then we get the head scissors caught by Michin. Michin ends up going for the Styles Clash, which was a great counter to say the least. After that, we get a cover by Michin and a near fall when Iyo gets her hand on the bottom rope. After that, Michin tries to go for the tope suicida, but she missed. After that, we get the Meteor on the barricade by Iyo Sky. Then once we're back into the ring, we get the double knees into the corner by Iyo. Iyo then goes to the top and ends up hitting the moonsault, and we get a cover, and Iyo Sky retains the women's title. Again, great match. They showcased Michin very well. Iyo Sky was great. It was obvious that she was going to retain the women's title. There was no way anytime soon that Iyo Sky is going to drop that women's championship. We get a backstage interview with Paul Heyman, or a backstage promo per se, with the wise man of the bloodline, Paul Heyman. And this was his promo. The Rock name drops Roman Reigns because The Rock wants to sit at the head of the table. To sit at the head of the table, one must be invited to a dinner of relevancy. The Rock has not been invited, nor will he, because The Rock is just like everybody else. He's looking for a shortcut to the headlines, but there's only two ways in this world of guaranteeing going viral. And that is, of course, number one, date Taylor Swift, and number two, calling out Roman Reigns. I absolutely loved that line. Roman Reigns wins a match, out comes a guy like John Cena. Roman Reigns wins a match, out comes a guy like Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns beats Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes still talking about finishing his damn story. CM Punk comes back to WWE after 10 years. Welcome back, by the way. CM Punk says he is the OG, the original Paul Heyman guy, which he is, till he upgraded from best friend to advocate, and then upgraded from advocate to wise man. Tonight, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight all fight for the privilege of getting smashed by Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, says Paul Heyman. And the one man that wins tonight will be smashed by Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble the same way whoever opposes Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania will be smashed by your tribal chief. Smashed by the head of the table and smashed by the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Because there isn't one man on the face of this planet that can beat Roman Reigns. Great promo by Paul Heyman. The man never disappoints. I absolutely loved that promo. I had to go watch it again because of how good that promo was. My favorite line of the entire promo was, CM Punk comes back to WWE after 10 years. Welcome back. He is the OG Paul Heyman guy, which he is until he upgraded from best friend to advocate, until he upgraded from advocate to wise man. I absolutely loved that. That was awesome. I loved that freaking line. And of course, there's a lot of possibilities now regarding Roman Reigns. I do believe that Roman Reigns will eventually drop his titles at WrestleMania. That is my belief. I don't think Rock and Roman will happen at WrestleMania because, again, it just wouldn't really make sense. From a business and a mainstream standpoint, it would make sense for that match to happen at WrestleMania. But if you just solely look at it from a creative standpoint, and at the same time, if you really think about it, we can all add a business standpoint as well. It kind of doesn't make sense because, again, you're jeopardizing a guy like Cody Rhodes, who right now is at the hottest that he has ever been. The crowd still loves Cody Rhodes after he lost to Roman Reigns last year. Clearly, they're going to do the Cody and Roman match at WrestleMania, and they're going to do Rock and Roman at the Elimination Chamber, which makes total sense because you will get the exact same amount of mainstream attention that you would at any single WrestleMania if you did that match anywhere. Just saying. But this was great. I loved how he mentioned CM Punk because clearly, most likely this year, after WrestleMania, maybe we could possibly get a CM Punk versus Roman Reigns match. You never know. We're going to have to wait and see, but I loved this promo by Paul Heyman. Iyo Sky is backstage. Damage Control celebrates with them. Bayley says 2024 is starting off great for Damage Control, and Io's era will never end. And Bayley says her plan will never end as well. But then Bianca comes in and says that she is getting ahead of herself because she is not winning the Royal Rumble. She's actually entering the Royal Rumble, and she can't wait to throw her over the top rope. She will win the Royal Rumble for the second time and take back her title. And so the EST era begins, or the Iyo era begins. Oh, yeah, and Happy New Year. And then Iyo says that Bayley needs to take care of Bianca, or I should say Dakota tells Bayley that Bayley needs to take care of Bianca and all that stuff. So, yeah, great. Pretty Deadly taking on Butch right now. Rich Holland is over there in NXT. Meanwhile, Sheamus, I believe it was Sheamus is injured. Sheamus hasn't been on television for a while now. Butch is all alone. Butch is all alone. What could have been of the Brawling Brutes? Who is his partner? Butch's partner is from NXT, and from what it looks like, he's officially called up to the main roster. Tyler Bate, yes, the former NXT, or the former WWE, actually, UK champion. This was great. Tyler Bate is a phenomenal wrestler, and of course, he has a lot of history with Pete Dunne, so it was great that he was his partner. Let's go through the match. Bate and Wilson start. We get a side headlock by Bate, but then we get a roll-up by Tyler Bate, and then we get a near fall. We get a drop kick by Tyler Bate, and then Prince tags in. Bate then goes for a senton off of the shoulders of Butch, but then Butch is a legal man. We then get a clothesline by Butch, and then he targets the fingers of Kit Wilson. After that, both men take out Pretty Deadly over the top rope on the outside, but then once we're back for a commercial break, Butch fights off Pretty Deadly. Prince then takes out Butch with the kick, but then Butch hits a suplex on Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate tags in. He hits the head scissors. After that, we get a knee by Kit Wilson, but then he gets hits the flying uppercut off the second rope. Then he throws down Prince, and then he goes for the running shooting star press. After that, he picks up Wilson, and then he spins him around, and then he plants him down to the mat, which was great stuff. Butch tags in. We get a double kick by Tyler Bate and Butch. We then get a German and a lariat combination by both men, but then we get a backhand by Tyler Bate. Both men go to the apron, but then Butch goes to the top, and then he gets taken out. And then we get a roll-up by Wilson and a near fall, but then he proceeds to work on the fingers, that being Butch of Wilson. Bate tags in. He hits the bop and bang. After that, they hit the double Tyler Driver 97, and then we get a cover, and Tyler Bate and Butch wins the match. Overall thoughts on this match. This was a great match. I love how they showcased Tyler Bate. It was great tag team chemistry by both men. Pretty much, I didn't really care at all about this match, to be quite honest with you. It was great seeing Tyler Bate, so that was pretty much... everybody kind of knew. It was in the rumor. Fightful, I believe, did report that. But again, it's great seeing Tyler Bate back. Hopefully, this gives something for Butch to do, because right now, I believe Rich Holland is over down at NXT. And Sheamus, we do not know what Sheamus is up to right now. I believe he's currently injured. I completely forgot. But Butch is all alone at this point, and him tag teaming with Tyler Bate, honestly, it is a great direction and a great move by WWE to really pair Butch with Tyler Bate. So that is great stuff. Moving on. We got a video package of LA Knight. Yeah. And then we got Nick Aldis, the current SmackDown general manager, backstage with Ashante Adonis, formerly of Hit Row. Of course, they still have B-Fab on the roster, but they do not have AJ Francis, a.k.a. Top Dollar. Top Dollar got released from the company, and they have Ashante Adonis. He's been telling Nick Aldis that he's been struggling lately, and he feels lost. He doesn't want him to feel sorry for him because he is hungry, and he's been ready. He just needs an opportunity. Nick says he doesn't feel sorry for him, but he has ideas for him. What could those ideas be? What are my thoughts on this segment? This was a very interesting segment. I never really seen. How do I put it into words? I never viewed highly Ashante Adonis, honestly. I just didn't really care about Ashante Adonis. I mean, let's be realistic. Ever since they brought back Hit Row, when Triple H first took over the book, they were just used as a jobber group. There was nothing really that Hit Row was going to be doing. Not only that, let's be realistic with ourselves. Hit Row is nothing without Swerve Strickland. It's just nothing without Swerve Strickland. Right now, Swerve is doing the best work of his career right now in AEW. That just leaves B-Fab and Ashante Adonis. And B-Fab is probably having some sort of direction, probably becoming paired with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. But when it comes to Ashante Adonis is all alone at this point. What do I see happening? I mean, I don't know, man. We could possibly see something with Ashante Adonis in which they could really, give him the sympathy belt. Kind of similar to what they did with Daniel Garcia in AEW during the Continental Classic, in which he was like losing all of his matches, but then he finally wins a match. That is just me thinking, and that is just me pulling shit out of my ass, so I may be totally wrong, but I'm just having ideas. But it's interesting. I mean, this has me a little bit intrigued, even though I'm somebody that hasn't really viewed highly in Ashante Adonis. I'll give it a shot. I'll definitely give it a shot and see what they will do with Ashante Adonis. Moving on to our main event. We got Randy Orton taking on AJ Styles, taking on LA Knight. Yeah, the winner of the Triple Threat match faces Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Championship at the Royal Rumble. This was a great Triple Threat match. I loved this match. Everything about it. The last few moments before Roman and the Bloodline interfered, everything about this match was awesome. I absolutely loved this match. Knight clotheslines AJ on the outside. Randy then sends Knight to the outside, and then Knight repeatedly bumps the head of Randy Orton onto the announce table, and he does the same thing to AJ Styles. Randy Orton then comes back and then slams Knight onto the announce table, but then he slams Knight once again on the announce table, and then he tries to do it on AJ Styles, but then AJ reverses it, and then he slams Randy on the announce table. AJ then sends Knight to the announce table, but then AJ sends Randy back into the ring. He sets up the Phenomenal Forearm, but then Randy Orton counters, and then he takes AJ Styles for the DDT. After that, he hits the DDT, and then Orton sets up the RKO. But what happens is right before he was about to hit the RKO, LA Knight drags Randy out and sends him to the announce table. AJ then takes out LA Knight onto the outside. Once we're back from commercial break, AJ then ends up going for a sliding forearm on LA Knight. And then Knight fights off AJ. But then AJ hits a kick on Knight, taking him down. By the way, one thing I didn't mention, I'm absolutely digging the drip that AJ is rocking right now. AJ, I don't know. It's not really a character change. It's just kind of like it's WWE's version of the lone wolf version of AJ Styles. If you guys do not remember, back in 2013, back when TNA had the whole Aces and Eights storyline, they were basically trying to replicate the Sting storyline, but with AJ Styles, and AJ Styles is kind of all emo and shit. This is basically like a modern version of that. Not really necessarily the same character, but it's kind of something similar to the lone wolf version of AJ Styles. I've been seeing a lot of people making comparisons to that, which honestly I cannot blame you. I've been digging the drip that AJ has been rocking recently. But AJ ends up going for a sliding forearm. Okay, I already mentioned that. We get a back suplex by AJ Styles. And then we get a cover and a near fall. After that, AJ sends Randy to the barricade repeatedly. He bumps him face first onto the announce table. And then AJ comes back into the ring, and then we get a sunset flip by AJ Styles. But then Knight catches him in a roll-up, but then Knight ends up going for a jawbreaker. Then Knight goes for repeated right hands. He stomps on AJ into the corner, but then Randy comes in. Knight fights off Randy Orton, but then we get a Russian leg sweep by Knight on Randy Orton. And then we get a running knee strike on AJ, followed by a backdrop by Knight on AJ Styles. And then we get repeated clotheslines by Randy Orton. And then he ends up hitting the power slam on LA Knight. And then he goes for another power slam, but this time on AJ Styles. After that, what happens is LA Knight comes in, and then he ends up hitting the BFT, the blunt force trauma, on Randy Orton. And then we get a cover and a near fall, but AJ was being the smartass that he was. He grabs the referee right before the referee was about to reach the 3 count. After that, Knight and AJ fight it out. Both exchange strikes. AJ ends up going for the Pele kick. He goes to the apron and hits a springboard 450 splash. And then we get a cover and a near fall, but then AJ sets up the Styles Clash, but then he takes Knight to the outside when Randy Orton enters the fray, which was smart by AJ Styles. Then we get the Phenomenal Forearm. AJ tries to go for the Phenomenal Forearm, but if you're in the ring with Randy Orton, you should know this already. Once he tried to go for that Phenomenal Forearm, Randy Orton slithered in, and he countered with, of course, the one and only RKO. And then we get a cover into near fall when Knight drags the referee to the outside. Again, very smart by LA Knight. Now he's kind of using, AJ Styles' tactics, but in a different manner. Knight at this point is busted open. He was actually bleeding in this match. Roman Reigns comes out. We didn't see Roman Reigns before, with the only time we saw Roman Reigns on this show was at the top of the show. I thought there was going to be an individual segment that basically has Roman Reigns address The Rock, but we had that for Paul Heyman. So, yeah, this is basically Roman Reigns making his return. So Roman Reigns comes out. Roman comes out, and what happens is he sends Solo to the ring as well as Jimmy Uso. Roman comes into the ring. They all take out everybody. Solo hits Randy Orton to the steel steps, or he sends. He hits Randy Orton to the steel steps, or with the steel steps, I should say. And then Roman Reigns takes AJ, and he ends up hitting a powerbomb. He hits a powerbomb on AJ Styles. And what happens is he sends AJ to the outside. So that's execution number 1. Execution number 2. What did Roman Reigns do? Well, they all drag LA Knight back into the ring. Roman Reigns ends up hitting the Superman punch on LA Knight. And then he gets in his face, and then he spears LA Knight. Then execution number 3. Jimmy Uso sends Randy Orton in the ring. And what happens is Solo is in the ring, and Roman and Solo end up going for their double executioner move, the spear spike. The spear mixed in with the Samoan spike by both Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa on Randy Orton. Meanwhile, you had Nick Aldis watching the entire match, literally watching everything go down, knowing he can't do anything about it. Granted, he kind of could do something about it, considering, they're literally doing a beatdown during a triple threat match. But at the same time, there is no DQ, so technically the match was still going on. And what happened was, if you think about it, the bell didn't even ring, so the match is technically still going on, but the show is about to end, so it kind of ended abruptly. And Nick Aldis goes up to Paul Heyman. He didn't grab the mic at all. He goes up to Paul Heyman, and he says, "Congratulations, because Roman Reigns earned himself a fatal 4-way match at the Royal Rumble." He specifically told Paul Heyman in his ear that Roman Reigns earned himself a fatal 4-way match at the Royal Rumble against AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight. Overall thoughts on the match itself. I thought the match was great. The way it ended, I loved the beatdown sequence with Roman Reigns really taking turns on AJ Styles, then LA Knight, then Randy Orton. That was great. The fatal 4-way match announced for the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns will be defending his undisputed title against AJ, Randy, and Knight. What are my thoughts on that match happening at the Rumble? I think it will be a great match, and I'm pretty much excited about it. But it has caused a lot, and I mean this, a lot of chit-chatter as to what could happen in that fatal 4-way match. Immediately what people are thinking right now, and I do not blame them for thinking this way, is that, oh my God, is Roman actually dropping the belts? Is he dropping the belts? If so, since this is a fatal 4-way match, they could have a scenario in which Roman Reigns loses the titles without even getting pinned. What are my thoughts on that? There have been a lot of people that have been thinking that way, and honestly, I cannot blame you, because with all the rumors and innuendo and chit chatter about The Rock versus Roman Reigns potentially happening, or most likely happening at this point, it's not confirmed, but at the same time, it kind of is confirmed because The Rock called out Roman Reigns this past Monday on Raw. But it's weird, man. It really is weird. They booked a fatal 4-way match. I expected Randy Orton to win the match and, have a one-on-one match. Because, when he first got sent to SmackDown, clearly I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to be getting Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. But clearly they involved LA Knight and AJ Styles into the storyline. Now we're getting a fatal 4-way match. Could there be an instance of Roman Reigns not getting pinned and still drop the titles? If that is the case, that is a stupid idea. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It is a stupid idea. for Roman Reigns to drop those titles at the Royal Rumble. He don't even have to get pinned and he drops those titles. That is still a stupid idea. It is a stupid idea because you spent all this time since 2020, since the summer of 2020, the week after SummerSlam when Roman Reigns turned heel and became the Undisputed or Universal Champion, whatever you want to call it. You spent all this time building up Roman Reigns only for him to drop it on a fatal four-way match because of a Rock versus Roman match. I don't know about you guys, but that is just pure stupidity on WWE's end. Not to say that they're going to be doing something like that. If this was Vince McMahon running things, they would have done something like that, but this is Triple H. Triple H even should know 100%. He should know 100% that that is just a dumb move on all levels. I see Roman Reigns retaining at the Royal Rumble. I do not see Roman Reigns dropping those titles because it's just dumb. It's just dumb on all levels. Why would you have Roman at this stage in his title reign drop those titles in such stupid fashion? Why would you do that? All for a Rock versus Roman match. Now, Rock versus Roman does not need the titles. If you think about it, the Rock versus Roman Reigns does not need the championships. And I agree with that. It does not need the championships whatsoever. But still, Roman Reigns dropping the titles at this stage of the game is stupid. It's like last year when everybody thought Sami Zayn was going to beat Roman at the Elimination Chamber. There's no way Roman Reigns is going to come to WrestleMania. There's no way Roman Reigns is going to walk into WrestleMania without the belts. There's just no way. I think them booking the four-way match is to really get the feud with AJ, LA Knight, and Randy Orton out of the way. That is exactly what I see happening. But I may be wrong. I hear other people saying that, maybe they can have Randy Orton, maybe they can have Randy Orton win the Undisputed title by either pinning AJ Styles or LA Knight. And then Cody wins the Elimination Chamber because clearly CM Punk is going to win the Royal Rumble. That is my prediction. I think CM Punk is going to win the Royal Rumble. You're going to have Cody go on to the Elimination Chamber and face Randy Orton, which is a feud that a lot of people have wanted to see ever since Cody returned to the company. But that is going to be your Night 2 main event, Cody versus Randy Orton, or one of your main events for WrestleMania. In my opinion, a feud between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes is way too early. That should happen when Cody Rhodes has the belts. And another thing, when it comes to Cody Rhodes finishing his story, he specifically stated he wants Roman Reigns and the titles that Roman Reigns holds. Finishing the story is ending the 1,000 plus day title reign of Roman Reigns. That is Cody Rhodes' story. Nobody else. I don't give a shit what anybody says. He could beat Randy Orton for the titles and win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. That is not finishing his story. I don't give a shit if he won the titles at WrestleMania against Randy Orton. That is not finishing his story. His story ends with Roman Reigns and the Undisputed title. That is it. End off. End off. That's my view. Okay? He should not face Randy Orton for the titles at WrestleMania. I don't know where people are getting that notion from, but it's a stupid idea. Roman Reigns dropping the titles at the Royal Rumble in a four-way match without even getting pinned is a stupid idea too. It just is. It is a stupid idea on all levels. We should not be doing shit like that just because The Rock comes in and wants to finally face Roman Reigns. We're not going to do that shit. Come on. We can't do that shit. And I don't see Triple H doing that type of stuff. If this was Vince McMahon running things, I guarantee you all of the matches that we would want to see at WrestleMania, I guarantee you those matches, they'd either not happen or they'd flip it around and add to the match and they'd make it into a sense that nobody wants to see those types of matches anymore. Case in point, what if they make, for example, if Vince McMahon was still running WWE, I guarantee you they'd either do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania or they do a triple threat match between Cody, Rock, and Roman. That is what they would do if Vince McMahon was still running things. I can remember the last few years that Vince McMahon was running WWE, they would always fuck up plans for WrestleMania. You want one thing, they give you the complete opposite. Case in point, everybody wanted a one-on-one match between Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. We ended up getting Charlotte Flair thrown into the mix, which was a stupid idea on all levels. It should have been Becky versus Ronda, but that is just my opinion. I don't see Roman Reigns dropping the titles at the Royal Rumble. Now, does it give me a sense that that could possibly happen since they booked a 4-way match? Yeah. I'm excited for the 4-way match. I think it's going to be great. But I don't see Roman Reigns dropping the titles. I just don't. I just think it's such a stupid idea. You spent all this money and investment in Roman Reigns, and it has gotten you so far, and you're just going to have him drop the belts like that? That's just pure disappointment right there. Because then you're telling me, the viewer that is spending your money on your product, that everything that we have watched in the past has been rendered useless because Roman just dropped his titles for no reason without even getting pinned. I don't see that being the case. I just can't see that being the case. So I definitely do see Roman Reigns, retaining the belts, but I can sense some concern. I mean, it's WWE. They do whatever the fuck they want. They don't give a shit, and rightfully so. They don't give a shit. But still, this is Triple H. I can't see Triple H making a stupid idea because clearly Triple H knows what he wants for WrestleMania. He just knows. I have full faith in Triple H. But yeah, that was my SmackDown review from January 5th, 2024. Overall thoughts on the show. I thought that it was a pretty good show. I didn't mention this, but the crowd seemed kind of dead. The crowd seemed kind of dead. I didn't really think that the crowd was really that enthusiastic, to say the least. But I thought it was a fine show. I thought the ending was great. I wish, I wish there could be like an official ending to the 3-way match, but there really wasn't. And now we're going to be getting a 4-way at the Royal Rumble. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on SmackDown. It was a pretty good show, to say the least. And WWE is kicking off 2024 with a bang. But yeah, that was my SmackDown review from January 5th, 2024, the New Year's Revolution edition of SmackDown. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications. Look out for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc channel in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Rick, yours truly, from WrestleHavoc, signing out. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.